Hello, I'm Jeffrey Grutner, and I'm here to share some information with you about the Leo cross quarter point and the associated time that many people engage with, including us. So, this is a preliminary um, video for the 8-8 Lionsgate and specific to 2023. And so, anyhow, I want to share some information from the astrological point of view about what the energy is and what its specificity is this year, as well as how we might be able to use it, and even kind of more specifically how we're going to use it at the Astro Journey and Sound Healing event with Frank DeChristina and myself. So the first thing I want to mention is that on August 7th, the sun, and most years it's on August 7th, the sun reaches the midpoint between the solstice and the equinox. And this is a significant, we call those the cross quarter points. They occur at 15 degrees Leo, which is this time of year, and at the 15th degree, or the exact midpoint of the other fixed signs. And those 4 points all have something in common that is been partly buried in arcane knowledge, but also been celebrated. And the first thing is that this is an in-between space. And so, like now here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're at the height of summer, but you can just begin to tell that it's going to turn now. So this is a turning point, an in-between space, and in a way it's a liminal space. And we often are celebrating equinoxes and solstices as the 4 directions, but these in-between places, many cultures have celebrated as well. In particular, this time of year have been celebrated as Lammas, and then there would be Samhain, which we have, we now call Halloween has taken the place of Samhain in the dominant culture. And then there's Imbolc in the wintertime in February, and Beltane in May. And so what is common amongst these cross quarter points is that the veil between our world and the other world is thinner, and we have more direct access specifically to the Hall of Records, to the Akashic Records. And in knowledge from the distant past, these were points that were considered points of avatar, meaning where the light can come through and can be expressed. And so they're often tied to the angels of karma as well. So that 15th degree, in the case of the Leo point, which is what I want to talk about this evening, has to do with being able to live from a state of sovereignty and from the heart, and being able to have radical self-love and express your light creatively out into the world. So it's about having dominion over your own domain, which is your own being, and being able to shine generously with your own unique gifts into the world. So one of the places that we find the ancient knowledge preserved happens to be in the tarot cards. So the things that I'm talking about are preserved there, And so I'm going to hold up here the World card. And if you notice that in that lower corner near my finger is the lion, representing the Leo point, and the upper corner is the eagle, representing the Scorpio point, because Scorpio has got the scorpion and the eagle as its animal being. And in the other corner is a human-looking figure. It is like the angel beast or the realization of humanity. And down there below is the bull, which is the spring cross quarter. And so these are obviously representing those 4 fixed signs. And one of the other tarot card shows that has these represented is the Wheel of Fortune. And in this card, you can see those 4 figures, but this time they're showing up as angels. And in the place of the Scorpio, it's a phoenix instead of an eagle. But there they are. And those were also seen in many of the prophecies by the ancient prophets, like Ezekiel. He saw those 4 beasts guarding the city of light. And all of these things relate to the wheel of karma, to the cycle of karma, of death, rebirth, and the process of developing and establishing our being solidly here in relation to the earth. And so there's mysteries that are attached to it. But one of the things that we can do is connect with it at this time. It's an excellent time to do ceremony, to do a divination, and to set an intention to work with the records and with the angels of the karmic realm of those records to help to support us to move through our lessons and to evolve our soul. So in the case of Leo, as I stated earlier, it's about can we live more fully from this place of radical self-love and shine that love light out into the world in some creative way that evolves not only ourselves, but others around us. So in that respect, these points are also connected to world karma, the opportunities to help to change the world. These are potent times. And by the way, if you have planets that are connected to those points, it doesn't necessarily mean you're an avatar or, that you're special or whatever. Kind of. But it does mean that you have the opportunity to allow whatever that archetypal energy that is connected with that to shine through the way you're living your life. And in a small way or a big way, help world karma move along. But it also puts some level of, I don't know, there's something esoteric about the way one's own life unfolds when they have connections to those points. So that's one of the reasons that this is a very important time. And as I said, the opportunity is there to access. We can't change our, some have said, oh, well, you can go in and change the records. No, but we can live from a better place, and we can learn from them. We can gain wisdom from the lives that we have lived, and we can therefore affect how the records are written from this time forward, because it literally is connected to time and the way that time was brought into these mysteries that we are living in on Earth. So that's an important point to make, is that how do we connect with what we have learned can we take things from our past and the things that have happened? What are the things that are limiting us from living fully from our heart? What are the things that might be limiting us that are from fully showing up in the world as a sovereign being and sharing generously our own creativity at whatever level that is? So this one in particular goes back to the time of a distortion, and there's various ways to describe when this took place. But let's, for the purpose of this video, I'm just simply going to say that when human beings decided that there should be one dominant ruler who was the sovereign, the one oftentimes elevated to a place where they're the one that is connected to the divine, to the supreme being, and that therefore the rest of us could only access that through that other person, through that other being, therefore taking our sovereignty away. And that happened at a time when the Leonian age was extant, and it created a distortion, a ripple in things. And so we've been living with that, and we have all participated in it. If you've been a soul connected to Earth for all this time, for the last 13,000 years, in some way, shape, or form, and you've arrived now because it's still extant, that's the way we live. It's not that we don't need leaders. We just don't need any person taking away, or that we should give our sovereignty away to. Nor do we need anyone to be the intervener between us and the Creator, the Supreme Being, the Great Mystery. We all have that right and connection. So owning our sovereignty at its core has to do with that we are beings unto ourselves. And to the extent that we can live in a world community where everyone has the freedom to have their own unique expression in the world, as long as it doesn't impinge on others, that is the essence of the Aquarian age, which is on the opposite side of the zodiac and what we're moving into now. So the lessons gained from being in this, the Leonian age 13,000 years ago, but one of the distortions that was created was this sense of that the leader became someone who dominated others or was above them. And that doesn't mean every leader lives that way today, or that's the way that they exercise their power, but unfortunately many do. And so one of the ways that we can affect that, because it exists in the human collective unconscious and it keeps being drawn upon, one of the ways we can affect that is by reclaiming our energy from that construct that has existed for all this time. So in all the ways that you have participated in that, maybe as a leader, maybe as a victim, someone who was dominated by, or passively sat by and supported or accepted the way that it was, it doesn't matter, because we're all part of that. And it's only through our individual actions where we have agency. Because we can't change others, but we can help move the energy in the right direction. So I decided I would insert that because I think that's a very powerful note, even though you may be looking more towards how can I utilize this energy? How can I be more sovereign? How can I live more from my heart? How can I rest in my being with radical self-love, so much so that I accept all the flaws, all of the shortcomings, all of the parts of life that didn't turn out the way I wanted to, the love I didn't get to have, or the missed opportunity, whatever, those are on that side. With all of those things, as well as your wonderfulness, your greatness, and how you show up as an awesome person, and how you matter to others, those can all be brought into the mix and elevated into the power and strength of your own sovereignty. So that's the kind of some of the major theme of what we're going to be accessing, and what the ceremony is about, to lead us into the space where we can, take that spiral notch up a bit for each of us as individuals, and then because it's connected to the world karma, and in the ways I just described, it can help all of the earth, really, not just humanity, because it's really all of the earth. Now, there's a few points that really support what we're talking about here tonight, and that is the other ways that the astrology lines up, and in some very potent ways. And I'm not going to go through every single one, but I will comment on a few of these, which is that Jupiter is getting very close. It's virtually in the window of moving into the Taurus cross-quarter point. So this relates to, or the way that I'm going to state it, because we can spend a lot of time on interpretation, but one level of interpretation here is bringing in a kind of overarching philosophy of opportunity and abundance on our earth plane, but a kind of philosophy, I would say, that we really need is an earth-based, an earth-centered, so that the life of the earth, Taurus, the life of the earth, and the life of our own bodies, therefore, the sensuality that gives us, well, so much. I'm not going to keep going on about it, but our senses and the way we embody, we bring our soul into this being, and so Jupiter is bringing opportunities to strengthen that, and because it's coming into resonance with the other karmic point, it is compelling us to take action. At this time, we have the Sun and the Leo point. So if we act creatively as sovereign beings to support this philosophy, this earth-centered philosophy, this embodiment, and the opportunities to bring more justice to all the world, bring justice to the life of the planet, very strong. And along with that is the sense of being a revolutionary in that same realm. That would be, for the astrologers, where I'm pulling that from, is the Uranus in Taurus. Is one example is that with the youth really speaking up for us to take care of our earth. That would be a Uranus in Taurus. Those are very strong, and those things are compelling. If we ignore them, things will break down and be difficult. But if we don't, if we embrace them, the tension energy between those will help us to propel. They become an energy and a driving engine of energy. And supporting this is the wounded healer. And the wounded healer, which is Chiron, is in a supportive, harmonious relationship with both the Sun and Venus. Venus is now getting close enough to be conjunct the Sun, and in a few days from now, this is the August 7th that I'm recording this. In a few days from now, they will be conjunct. So Venus will be in between us on the Earth and the Sun, and going through at this point, as it's retrograding towards the Sun, it is like the ascension of the last cycle, the information of the Venus function is being brought up into the level of soul. All of that information about the previous cycle, Venus starting in Capricorn, it will conjunct the sun, get energized by great mystery. It will continue to retrograde, but it will emerge as a morning star very soon afterwards. And it will begin a new cycle as a Leo cycle. So once again, we have this reinforcement of the idea from the feminine perspective, because it's involving Venus, to have radical self-love, and to develop our creativity, however that shows up. I mean, creativity is everything from sexuality to classic art to how we develop a plan, or arrange a classroom so children are both loved and encouraged to learn, that kind of a thing. Just as examples, we can all, as individuals, find our own energy with that. But and in addition, at this time, there is also that a strong opportunity for revolution and evolution. I mentioned Uranus in Taurus. Again, for those who do want to know where the astrology that I'm pulling it from is, it is in a harmonious aspect to Pluto, which has gone back into Capricorn. So Pluto has been evolving, often breaking down a lot of external structures and institutions in our life and the way we organize things in the past many years, in fact. And so the revolutionary Uranus and the evolutionary Pluto are working together. That's very potent. And what is also supporting that is the Mars, which is that planetary energy of how we go about going after our desires, how we take action, and how we make decisions and strategize and plan. And it, as a primarily masculine energy, it is always kind of on the move and taking action, and it is being expressed through a process of creating the details, the arrangements, that I need to use an analogy here, because the sign expression of Virgo is associated with a high priestess function. The idea of, on the mundane level and the ordinary level, how you arrange and feng shui your house so that the way that the energy flows through it and the signal it sends both to you and to the universe. And Mars is in there, so it's an opportunity to create plans, get the details right, to create new ways of being in a way that is harmonious, as Pluto is breaking down institutions and structures, whether that be within ourselves or out in the world. As Pluto is breaking those things down, Mars is about taking the action to lay in the new details, the new structures that will signal a new and revolutionary way of being, based out of an earth philosophy. So there's a few ideas, and even though that was more broad perhaps than within oneself, but I hope that it helps you to understand what is going on at this time, and look forward to seeing any of you who are going to come to our event. It should be a pretty awesome event. We'll go on an astral journey that I will guide you on, and it will be a way to go inward and access deeply the parts of yourself that need healing and be brought forward. And then Frank DeChristina, with the awesome sound bath healings that he does, will carry us forward with that particular energy. So thank you for listening, and namaste, matakias, and happy Leo cross quarter. And 8-8 Lionsgate.